I was like a normal nerdy kid. My parents moved around a lot, and I had dyslexia when I was small, but overcoming it was a challenge. And I think because my mother is a teacher, the expectations were pretty high, and it was a great pressure there. During those days, it's just people will just label you as, oh, you can't pick up reading, you write your letters backwards, and you know what's wrong with you. You feel like, you know, so it's a challenge. And but I think my parents were very supportive. My father took the time to, you know, teach me slowly, and my mother, and they gave all kinds of incentive. Okay, if you do this, you can get books and whatnot. But of course, in school, you tend to be well, a bit ridiculed because you know you can't read. I don't think I have you know, any amazing talent, but it's just through hard work and perseverance. Not only that I overcome dyslexia, but then picked up good language skills, which allowed me to win that essay competition. Actually, that essay competition was organized by British Petroleum to find a sole representative for Malaysia to the I think it was one of the 35th World Science Forums in London. So all the secondary school students could, you know, write essays. So I just finished my SPM. Said, well, why not? So I wrote an essay, and I was surprised that, you know, it was chosen, and they called me up for an interview. So I became the sole representative of Malaysia for that event. From somebody who's afraid to talk in public, can't even read, had problem writing. Now I'm in a world stage forum, delivering paper to all these eminent people. It's amazing. It's like you have overcome this. And there on, I realized, you know, actually life is about just going one hurdle at a time. So the more hurdles you go through, you know, you keep moving forward. And when you do that, you just keep gaining momentum, and then everything will come. The most strenuous part, I would say, is when I was studying. I was studying architecture in the UK at that time, and we suddenly was hit by this economic crisis. Okay, architecture degree, there is one degree, then you have to do a post. So I found out that that my sponsors couldn't afford me going there, so I had to return to Malaysia. Okay, and then I tried to overcome that. I found a job which paid, which could get me through. Unfortunately, at that same time, my father was diagnosed with a sort of like a growth in his brain. So they had to sort of operate the brain. So even though I wanted to stay, I couldn't stay. I was the elder, so I had to go back and support my family in that sense. And that was a pretty trying time, and coupled with, you know, final exams at that moment. My role model is the Prophet Muhammad, because I think he epitomizes what a human should be. I think he's been one of the most influential people in the history of mankind, and like all prophets, he comes from very humble beginnings. One of the strong pillars that always guided me is patience. That means I believe that the Prophet was never an angry person. So in whatever situation, you must keep cool. You must not get angry, because when you start to get angry or let anger rule you, you'll make bad decisions. So this is a very, very important thing. And I've seen a lot of good people have screwed up their life because of being too emotional at that time. People use that against you, actually. You know that they can get an angry response from you, and which actually can lead to, you know, many detrimental stuff, because when you do things in anger, you're not thinking properly. So I think by by following the Prophet's advice, I become a very a patient person. And you can come to a lot of, and which has helped me a lot in my career, because the construction industry and architecture is very stressful environment, which explains the lack of Malaysian architects. So by being very patient, it really helps with stress management and all that. And also crisis management, of course. If something really bad happens, you really need to keep cool. Solve it one step at a time. My aspiration now is to become a successful architect. Especially to show that young architects can make it in this in our environment, or Malaysian environment, because there's been a stigma saying that there is no way that you can have a young architect be successful in the Malaysian industry, because it's always ruled by corporations who are very big, who you need to be inculcated into this organization, then you can rise up the corporate ladder and whatnot. But I think we have a pool of talent, and it's just a matter of time that people realize that you can do it. We can do it. So I think we're trying to spread this message around. Believe it or not, it's kind of morbid, but what motivates me is what I will be thinking on my deathbed, because I don't want to waste my life, and want to use my life as best I can. So usually when I wake up in the morning, I think, if I had another day to live, how would I live my day? So that usually what motivates me, and I think thinking like that helps me to be more considerate towards others and appreciate my family more. I have 2 children, and I want to spend as much time with them as possible, and to spend time with my wife, as well as building up your career. So you must have this balance, I think. So you don't want to be on your deathbed thinking, what have you done in this life, and so you have all these great moments and share, like as equally as landing that great design. It should be teaching your kids to do something, or riding first time your daughter's riding a bike. We're so fortunate to be living here, and we're so blessed to be living in a nation where we have so much opportunity, regardless of race or creed or religion. Anybody, people say you go to America for opportunity. People can come to Malaysia and become very successful. The only thing is that I think in our sense, we are a very young country. We lack maturity, and I think that is really important that people realize this, and people try to preach that maturity means that people should be more well-read, more understanding of where we come from, because sometimes to have full democracy, you need people, you need a society which is understanding of that privilege. Sometimes I akin Malaysia to having a car lah. Countries like persons. Older countries, for example, Germany, who has gone through so many tough times, world wars, social problems. You give them a car, they appreciate. Oh, thank you, sir. You give me a car, drive it properly. But Malaysia, being a young kid who doesn't know, has gone through maybe 1 or 2 bad experiences or whatever. You give him a car. I don't know if he appreciates that much. What is it worth? So that similarly, independence or true democracy in that sense is a huge responsibility. It will help people choose the right path for the nation. As I always say to people, you start at your home, then at where you can contribute most, whether your workplace or your immediate circle of friends. And I think at home I always teach that to whoever, my immediate family. And at work, since I'm in a position of hiring everybody and being their boss and all that, I always preach this, because I think being a professional itself, you don't do it just for the money. You do it for nation building, because you're actually investing in your own future. So I always tell this to my staff, whether or not it sometimes it's sad to see that some of the graduates, they come out of school thinking to make a quick buck, you know, just because there's money to be made. But unfortunately, they don't realize that when making a quick buck, they're killing their long-term prospects. In the way that we work here, in my firm, we try to teach as much as possible everybody good ethics, good conduct, and good professionalism.